Hello everybody, it's Star Alliance Man here, and welcome back to another airport update. So this one is going to be for the month of July, and we have some very exciting changes that I'm going to go through. So thank you so much for watching, and let's jump straight in. So this airport is based in Southern California, somewhere between Los Angeles and San Diego. And we have a good variety of carriers. We mainly have the three terminals here, right? We have this entrance terminal where we have Southwest, Frontier, Hawaiian, and Spirit Airlines, as well as a few other carriers. And then we have the United terminal, which has been one of the bigger changes since last month's update. United Airlines has officially moved to another terminal. So, you know, if you've been following these updates, every now and then I actually switch the terminals for where airlines park. You know, just a little bit of fun and trying to be as efficient as we can as an airport. And United Airlines, they actually fit this terminal a little bit better. And, you know, I'll probably talk a little bit about that. But, you know, you can see they take up pretty much all of the gates there. So it's kind of their own exclusive terminal. And then we get to the international terminal, as well as American Airlines, Alaska, and Delta. They all park at this last concourse, which you can see has an extension piece to it. So a lot of cool stuff to go through, along with the cargo setup as well, which has some new wide bodies in there and the stands. So thank you so much, and let's get into the first terminal here. So this is going to be, like I said, the entrance terminal. So we have, you know, some of the ground service equipment that you usually see, but, you know, the carriers that park at this terminal have also changed. And I think this is the right mix-up for, you know, airlines that would park at this terminal. It just seems like the right fit for the amount of gates and, you know, kind of the size of the gates and stuff like that. So, you know, if we look at that first, gate, we have a Spirit Airlines A320 with a service to Las Vegas. Next to that, we have the Hawaiian A330-200. This one made by NG Models in the new livery with a service to Honolulu. Up next, we have the A321neo from Hawaiian Airlines. This one is made by Gemini Jets with a service to Kahului in Maui. Up next, we have the Frontier A321. This is Steve the Eagle. So I have a few other Frontier aircraft now. It's not a huge fleet, but really nice just to get a new Frontier, especially one that's, you know, really recent, that you see every day. So this Frontier A321 just doing a quick hop to Denver. And next to that, we have a couple Southwest gates. We have the 737-700 in the blue, Canyon Blue livery rather, with a service to Denver as well. And up next, we have the Desert Gold, I think it was called. This is one of the older yellow mustard liveries, I think is another term that the old Southwest livery was called, but it's kind of the Southwest Classic livery. And this guy just doing a quick service over to Chicago Midway. And then up next, we have the United Terminal. So, you know, we have, you can see a couple wide bodies in there. It's mostly gonna be narrow bodies. I have added a couple cool things you can see by the regional gates. This is about the right setup for United and kind of the, you know, amount of departures they have out of this airport. They do have a couple international destinations that they serve, and it is, you know, a hub for them, sort of. It's just not quite the scale that you would see in some of the other hubs, but, you know, it is a decent size. And you can see we'll start off with a brand new model. This is the 737-700. This is made by NG Models, just doing a quick service up to Seattle. Up next, we have the 787-9. This is in the older Globe livery, just doing a service over to Tokyo Narita today. And then we have a couple new things. So the first thing with the regionals, as you can see, we do have the CRJ-200, which was featured in the last update, but we also have a couple of these ramps. So this was something that I was looking to get, just because with some of these regional jets, you know, we either don't have the gates, or, you know, if we added the gates, it would look a little bit crammed. So sometimes it's a little bit more preferred to just have some ramps instead. And you can see here, we actually have 3 of them in operation. So one of them is just tying up, you know, kind of hooked up to that gate there. So the passengers would go down the ramp once they've exited the gate, and then they would walk over to which aircraft they're on here. So both of these aircraft have a ramp. You can see, you know, the actual door height or how high these ramps are is not always accurate, but for the CRJ-200, it's actually very close. The E175, I don't think it's quite tall enough, but yeah, these are 3D printed. So there's a company called Shapeways that makes these. I can talk about those later in another video or just in the comments below, but that's what's going on with these new ramps. And then over here we have the last E175. So we have a total of 3 regional jets here. The CRJ-200 is just doing a quick service to Santa Barbara, the E175 with a service to Vail, and then the last E175 doing a service to Portland, Oregon. Then we have a couple more narrow bodies. We have the 737-800 with a service to Chicago O'Hare. We have another 737-800 in the Star Alliance livery doing a service to Washington Dulles. The 767-300ER, this one doing a service to Newark. It does take up a little bit more space than your typical narrow body gate, but you can see it fits there just fine. So a nice little lineup there, the Uniteds. We have an empty gate there, and then we have the 757-200. This is in the Her Art Here livery. Awesome, just beautiful livery. I think most people tend to agree with that. This is the 757-200 with a service to Kona. And then we have the 737-800, the last one. This is gonna be in the Globe livery as well with a service to Houston. And as we start to move into that last terminal, we have the 787-9. This is another United one in the Evo Blue livery just arriving in from Sydney. So it's kind of the early morning period. So we have the 787-9 here just arriving. It's gonna be taking over this gate here where the 737 is parked. And it'll be doing a return service over to Frankfurt later this afternoon. So that'll be its next flight. And so then I'll just kind of show, an overview of this new expansion that I've added. You can see here the old terminal, if you remember, it was really just these two terminals, and then it would just sort of end along here. But this new expansion has enabled a few more gates, and particularly some wide body ones rather, and a little bit more space for the narrow bodies as well. But it's just a really nice expansion to round off the rest of the terminal. So it's really space for Delta Airlines. They're the main ones using this, along with some of their partners. You can see we have China Eastern, some of the Delta wide bodies, and then a few other international carriers. So yeah, we're gonna go through those, and I'll firstly start off with the rest of the terminal here. And here we are back at the beginning of the terminal. So we have a couple of the wide bodies here on this side. We also have a couple that are using the narrow body configuration. So I'll start with this American 787. This is the 787-9 just pulling in from some maintenance overnight. That's going to be doing a service to Tokyo Haneda later today. And up next, we have a couple more narrow bodies. This is the Air Canada A220-300 with a service to Toronto, and then the A321 of American Airlines doing a service to Charlotte. Up next, we have the Virgin Atlantic 787-9 with a service to London Heathrow, followed by the Saudia. This is the Saudi Arabian 787-9 doing a service to Riyadh. So a nice little lineup there for the internationals. And then as we move into the domestics, we have added a couple new additions into this. So first off, I'll start off with the American E175, just doing a quick hop up to San Francisco. But these three models here are brand new to the fleet. So the SkyWest, this is the CRJ 700. You can see it's wearing the SkyWest livery. So this aircraft actually flies for American Eagle from a little bit of research I did. So I'm not sure if they switch it between American Eagle, Delta Connection, United Express. I'm not sure how often it switches, but obviously it's still painted in that house livery, as they call it, for SkyWest. And this aircraft just doing a quick hop to Aspen. Up next, we have the American A321. This is in the Stand Up to Cancer livery, another great addition with a service to Dallas-Fort Worth. And then lastly, of course, the Alaska. This is the 737-900ER in the One World livery. Just a fantastic addition. Really fantastic that Gemini Jets, but also NG Models has produced this model. And this is actually the NG Models version doing a service to Seattle. And we rounded up with a couple more Alaskas here. We have the E175 doing a service, just a very quick flight over to Palm Springs. And then we have the 737-900ER from Alaska with a service to Portland. And then we move into this last terminal. So a couple just new additions here. Mainly, the 767-300 is a brand new model. And just where, these aircraft park, before it was kind of a little different trying to jumble these together. So I'll start with the 767-300. This aircraft is really just allowed to park at this gate just because it's just a little bit more space as we kind of combine the mats together. So this aircraft doing the New York JFK service. Up next, we have the A220-300, or actually, that is the 300, coming from Delta Airlines doing a service to Salt Lake City. Up next, we have the Aeromexico 737-800 doing a service to Mexico City, of course. I said Salt Lake City, right? That was interesting. I just combined the cities there. But Salt Lake and then Mexico City. Up next, we have the A330-900neo from Delta doing a service to Tokyo Haneda as well. Up next, we have the China Eastern. This is the 777-300ER doing a quick service over to Shanghai Pudong. Up next, we have the Air China. This is the 777-300ER doing a service to Beijing. And I'll move over here to give you just a slightly better view of the other side of the terminal. So we do have an empty gate over here, and just to give you some reference, this is where the Saudia was. So we have the Delta 757-200 here with a service to Atlanta. We have the Lufthansa A350-900 doing a service to Frankfurt. The Air China, obviously, we covered with a service to Beijing. And just arriving here, we have the Delta A321. This is the NG models version, just coming in from Minneapolis, and we'll be returning for a flight to Detroit. So yeah, that's going to be the new concourse. So some great additions there, like I mentioned. Just a couple more carriers that we're able to squeeze in. You know, Southwest is actually a brand new addition to the airport as a whole. So just a neat little expansion. Nothing too too major, but just enough that the airport's able to handle it. Particularly just with this single runway, which I'm about to go into. So this is runway 26. We have a couple more United, so mainly the United A319 here, just doing a quick hop to San Francisco. And then we have the 737-800 over here with a service to Orlando. And lastly, we have a couple aircraft on the stands here. So right now you're looking at 3 Dreamliners. We have the Air New Zealand 787-9. This aircraft just comes very early in the morning. All of these aircraft show up around 6 to 7 a.m. and then they basically sit here for most of the day before returning later at night for a red-eye flight. So we have the Air New Zealand with a service to Auckland. We have the Qantas 787-9 with a service to Sydney. And then lastly, the LATAM. This is the 787-9 doing a service to Santiago tonight. And then also we have 77-8 here for United. They have some maintenance done here at this airport, so that's why you see just a couple aircraft on the stands here, just some Dreamliners. And then one of the last aircraft we have in the airport is the Alaska 737-800. This one is doing an earlier service to Seattle, so it's just crossing runway 26 now, and it's going to be departing very shortly. And also, obviously, you were able to see they have the United hangar, so we have a couple aircraft in there, just getting some maintenance done. But one of the last parts of the airport is the cargo setup. So you can see we have just a couple 747s here. This is the Nippon Cargo 747-8 freighter. I believe this is a new release that was not included in my last update, but this aircraft actually comes with a couple GSE specific to them. You can see if I zoom in a little bit, it says NCA on the edge of those cargo containers. So just a nice little addition here to make things a little bit more personable for Nippon Cargo. Just doing a service to Anchorage first before continuing on to Tokyo. Up next, we have the Cargo Lux 747-8 freighter with a service to Luxembourg. And then lastly, we have the China Cargo. This is the 777F doing a service to Taipei nonstop. So yeah, some really awesome wide bodies we have there. Then we obviously have a little cargo center here on the left, you can see. So I try to make this, as realistic as we can and kind of vary things up as much as possible. So really awesome additions. And like I said, thank you so much for watching, guys. That's pretty much going to be it for this month's update. I will try to make things a little bit more, frequent, with the time I have. As well as traveling a little bit. I know I upload some travel videos, so you can always follow me here on YouTube or Instagram. I always appreciate your feedback, always appreciate your comments, and I'm always open to talk about any aviation stuff. It's always fun to me. So again, thank you so much for watching. Please leave your feedback in the comments. I'd love to chat, and yeah, see you guys in the next update.